I never imagined posing as a billionaire's wife would lead to a heartwarming love I craved. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. My world was a fragile glass house, sparkling and fragile. One wrong move, one crack, and it would shatter. My phone buzzed relentlessly, a sharp reminder that the lies were piling up. I stared at the screen, my heart racing. "You've got this," I whispered, though uncertainty dripped down my spine like sweat. My hands trembled as I adjusted my fake wedding ring. A piece of glass masquerading as a diamond. Its coldness felt like a warning. I had spent weeks crafting this identity, stepping into the shoes of a woman I'd never met, a billionaire's wife whose life shimmered like an unattainable dream. But I was merely a ghost, drifting through her lavish halls and extravagant parties. I thought I could pull it off, paint over the cracks with my hopes and desires. After all, didn't everyone long for the glamorous facade of wealth? I couldn't hide from the reality any longer. I was still reeling from losing my own life. My family scattered like broken pieces of glass. Mom was busy drowning herself in work, while Dad's laughter felt like a distant echo. My best friend Jade tried to save me, her concern painted across her furrowed brow. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Shed asked, her voice tinted with worry. But each no felt like a sharp knife, cutting deeper into my yearning heart. I had no intention of letting go of this opportunity. Tonight, the gala was set to be magical, but beneath the elegance, the air was thick with secrets. I stepped into the grand hall, chandeliers dripping crystals, laughter twinkling like stars. I felt like a fraud in my stunning gown, its silk caressing my legs, but each compliment was a dagger to my soul. They all believed in the illusion. But what if they uncovered the truth? The pounding of my heart drowned out their laughter, my senses sharp and alert, and then I saw him. Harrison. Tall, brooding, his eyes like dark pools drawing me in deeper. He stood apart, an island of turbulence amidst the sea of fortune. Our paths crossed and the world faded. I felt his heat, the raw energy sizzling between us. My breath hitched. What was this connection? Was it real, or another figment of my imagination? He pulled me close, his voice a husky whisper, saying things that intrigued me yet terrified me to my core. I leaned in, heart racing, breath shallow. Something shifted in him, a flicker of hope mingling with shadows. He was not just a billionaire, he was a man carrying secrets of his own. But before I could grasp it, the moment fractured. My phone buzzed again, tearing me away from this strange new desire. I glanced down and my heart dropped. This message was different. "He found you," it read. Suddenly the laughter faded, the lights dimmed, and reality crashed back in like a wave of icy water. In that instant, all my dreams spiraled into chaos. Who was coming for me? Would this masquerade end in heartbreak? Was I losing the one thing that could have been real amid the lies? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Panic surged through me, tightening its grip on my throat. The elegant gala blurred into a haze of flickering lights and hushed whispers as my mind raced, struggling to grasp the implications of that single message. "He found you." Each letter knifed through my pretense, for as enchanting as the world around me seemed, this was no fairy tale. This was realistic reality that I had orchestrated, but now threatened to unravel. Harrison's gaze lingered on me, his brow furrowed with concern. I could feel the weight of his presence, the potential of what we shared hovering between us like the delicate bubbles of champagne in our flutes. But I had no time for limitless possibilities. Dread coiled within me like a serpent ready to strike. I needed to keep my lies under wraps, but how could I when the very foundation of my deception was crumbling? "Are you all right?" His voice cut through the chaos, low and steady. It wrapped around me, grounding me in a moment where I might have otherwise spiraled. "Just a little overwhelmed," I managed, forcing a smile that felt foreign on my lips. I could feel the tremor in my voice, the doubt that lurked beneath the surface. I couldn't allow him to see the storm inside me. "I understand," he said, his eyes searching mine. These events can be daunting, but you've got a spark. You stand out among these glittering jewels. His compliment was sincere and disarming, and in the depths of his gaze, there was a flicker of understanding before I could respond. A chill swept through the hall. Murmurs escalated, and I turned my gaze toward the entrance. A figure stood across the room, shrouded in shadows. My breath hitched, the scent of familiarity pulled at my gut. It was Marco, my past. What was he doing here? A part of me wanted to bolt, to disappear into the folds of the crowd, but another part was anchored by the gravity of the truth. This was the man who had once held my life in his hands, carving a path filled with danger and despair. My previous life was just steps away, threatening to breach the barricades I'd built around my heart. Harrison, I stammered, not knowing how to voice the fear clawing at my insides. Hey, let's grab some air, he suggested, tilting his head toward the balcony where the night sky shimmered with stars. But just as I began to nod, Marco's icy stare locked onto mine. A flicker of recognition sparked a dangerous dance between us, as if he were piecing together a puzzle he once knew by heart. Please, I need to talk to you, Marco's voice called, slicing through the laughter and clinking glasses. A hush fell over the room, and all eyes turned toward me, curiosity weaving through the air like smoke. My heart threatened to burst free from my chest. No, I breathed, the word slipping out before I could catch it. Harrison sensed the shift, his protective posture tightening beside me. Do you know him? Not anymore, I asserted, but my heart trembled under the weight of my truth. Stay with me, he murmured, his grip on my arm firm yet reassuring, as if anchoring me against the tides of uncertainty that threatened to sweep me away. I met Harrison's gaze, his dark eyes swirling with determination. In that moment he became my lifeline, despite the overwhelming chaos of my life and the web of lies I'd woven. I can't let him take this from me, I whispered, my resolve hardening with each pulse of my racing heart. What I felt for Harrison could not be cut short, not before I had a chance to discover its depth. Yet, as I stood there on the brink of losing everything, Marco stepped forward, his mouth curling into a knowing smirk, an edge of menace lacing through his words. You can't run forever, sweetheart. The past has a way of catching up. Suddenly, that fragile glass house I had built felt like it was teetering on the edge of collapse. I was caught between two worlds, any hope of navigating through this storm risking my heart, my identity, and the most genuine connection I had ever experienced. I didn't even have time to catch my breath as the gala around us closed in. My world was blurring, and with every heartbeat the shadows grew darker, more threatening. Would Harrison stay by my side, or would the truth drive him away? As the weight of Marco's presence bore down on me, a nagging question gnawed at my soul. What would happen when the lies were exposed? Would my heart be strong enough to survive the wreckage? Or would our fleeting connection shatter like glass? The cool breeze on the balcony brushed against my skin, yet the heat of the gala clung to me like a suffocating shroud. I felt Harrison's presence near me, his warmth juxtaposed against the icy grip of anticipation tightening my throat. He stood quietly by my side, his fingers brushing against mine, offering a sense of solidarity that both soothed and terrified me. As I turned to him, the hazy lights of the ballroom framed his face, casting a soft glow across his chiseled features. You don't have to stay, I whispered, barely able to articulate the depth of my fear. I can handle this on my own. Harrison shook his head slowly, his expression fierce yet tender. No one should face their past alone. If he's here to threaten you, he's not just anyone, I interrupted, my breath faltering. He's my past and he's dangerous. I don't want you involved in this. But I am involved now. Whether you want me to be or not. I care about you. The sincerity in his words cut through the tension, leaving a softness where fear had taken root. A movement caught my eye, and I turned to see Marco approaching us, his smirk growing more intense. Look at you with your little knight in shining armor, he taunted, his voice dripping with condescension. Thinking you can hide behind him forever? I felt the color drain from my face, but Harrison straightened, vulnerability turning to fierce protectiveness. If you're looking for trouble, you've come to the wrong place. Running to your pretty new boyfriend won't change the inevitable, Marco replied, his eyes narrowing. You know the truth will come out, and I'm not the only one who wants to know exactly who you really are. The implications hung heavy in the air, a knot of panic twisting in my stomach. Who else was he referring to? I could feel the trust ID built with Harrison beginning to fray at the edges. Just leave, I pleaded, drawing on every ounce of courage to maintain my composure. I don't want to go back to that life. Please just let me go. Marco's gaze softened momentarily, a flash of something akin to nostalgia crossing his features before it was replaced by a calculated coldness. It's not that easy, sweetheart. You'll always be a part of me whether you like it or not. Before I could respond, I felt Harrison reach for my hand. Let's go inside, he urged, pulling me away from the balcony toward the interior of the gala. But I felt Marco's eyes follow us. The vibrant chatter and laughter of the gala seemed muted, my heart drumming in my ears as I wrestled with conflicting emotions. Harrison pulled me close, his body shielding me from unwanted glances, but I remained on high alert, reminded that danger often lurked in the shadows. That I wish I could tell you everything, I murmured, unable to meet his gaze. The crushing weight of my secrets pressed down on me, locking away the heart I wanted to offer him. I never wanted to lie to you. We'll find a way through this, he replied, his tone soft yet firm. You're not alone anymore. But the tightening in my chest wasn't easing, and I sensed the rift growing between us, filled by my secrets and the ghosts that haunted me. I caught my reflection in a nearby mirror and saw a stranger staring back, someone burdened by choices entangled in webs of dishonesty. Let's just dance, I suggested, desperate to escape the heaviness pooling in the air. Maybe if I could lose myself in the moment, the reality of my situation would slip away, if only for a little while. Harrison nodded, laughter in his eyes as he pulled me to the center of the room where couples twirled gracefully. The music turned light and airy, the notes wrapping around us as we moved, and for a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to get swept away. As we swayed, I felt a familiar sensation, a spark igniting between us. In his arms, I dared to believe that I might deserve this ephemeral happiness. But the bliss was short-lived. Just as I leaned into him, my body relaxing into the rhythm, I heard a voice rise above the music. You're all so naive, Marco's voice sliced through the laughter, his tone tainted with malice. You think you can escape your past, but it's about to crash this party. That I froze mid-step, my heart racing as panic clawed at my insides anew. My eyes darted toward Marco, where I saw him pull out his phone, his finger hovering above the screen. An ominous smile spread across his face. Let's see how long your precious secret lasts when everyone knows the truth, he taunted before pressing send. Time seemed to halt as dread filled every corner of the roomy laughter. My newfound hope, everything hung in balance. What had he just done? As I stood frozen, I felt Harrison's grip tighten around me, his eyes locked onto mine, filled with unwavering concern. What's happening? He asked, the trajectory of our evening shifting abruptly as uncertainty seeped into the air around us. And in that suspended moment, I realized with icy clarity, I was about to face not just my past, but the unraveling of everything I had fought to build. The truth was finally coming to light, but at what cost? The music faded into an echoing silence, the atmosphere thick with the weight of unspoken fears. I could feel everyone's eyes shift toward Marco, a collective tension pinching the air. Harrison stepped closer, guarding me with his body, but his eyes searched mine, begging for answers I didn't have. Lila, what is going on? His voice broke through the fog of my panic, but I remained paralyzed, racing against the tide of my memories that crashed over me like relentless waves. Just wait, I managed to murmur, my heart hammering in a chaotic rhythm. In that moment, Marco's smirk expanded to a grin. He thrived on the chaos he orchestrated, and the sight of that wicked joy twisted my stomach in knots. Let me remind you all, Marco said, raising his voice to capture the attention of the gala's attendees, how quickly the facade can crumble. He waved his phone like a trophy, a digital death sentence for the life I had painstakingly built. Mistress of deception, that's what they call you. Just like your mother, he spat, glancing at the guests, his words laced with poison. The crowd shifted, murmurs rippling through the room as faces turned in my direction, confusion and curiosity mixing with judgment. I felt my heart sink into a pit of despair. Every word he spoke sliced through my carefully constructed barriers. Memories of my childhood, my mother's struggles, the grudging acceptance of being the other woman in my own life, surged forward. Would their gazes reveal the ugly truth that I was desperately hiding from? Harrison's grip tightened to the point of pain, grounding me amidst the storm of chaos. Stay with me, he murmured, his breath warm against my ear. a soothing balm against the fire raging within me. But how could I stay present when my world was crumbling? He doesn't know everything, I whispered back, fiercely wishing it could somehow hold any weight. But uncertainty twisted inside me, a spiraling sense of hopelessness. Yet, Marco added, his voice full of venom, how long can you hide behind your veil of lies? Just wait until they get a load of the real you. I felt his eyes piercing through me, dissecting my very soul. Suddenly, the crowd shifted as a young woman, clad in a shimmering silver gown, stepped forward, her face a blend of concern and determination. This isn't fair, she exclaimed, her voice ringing clear against the underlying tensions. You can't just ruin someone's life for the sake of spectacle. The defiance in her stance reminded me that hope could emerge, even in moments stained with despair. But it was overshadowed by the gnawing fear of Marco's next words, the potential fallout if they were laced with truth. Megan, he sneered, dismissing her with a wave. This is exactly the kind of empathy that's gotten Lila into trouble in the first place. I felt the weight of those words settle over me like a shroud. Could I really walk among them after this? People deserve to know who they're dealing with, Marco continued, his voice growing louder. If Lila thinks she can play billionaire's wife without consequences, she's sorely mistaken. I could feel the storm clouds gathering, darkening what little light remained in the room. But to my surprise, a ripple of whispers began circulating through the guests, some people defensive of me, others enraged at Marco's bullying. In the chaos, Harrison turned to me, his eyes fierce but somehow still radiating warmth. We have to leave. Now. No, I said, the protest bursting from my lips filled with desperation. If I leave now, it will look like I'm guilty of everything he's implying. I need to face this. That's not a smart move, he urged, his tone almost pleading. But something shifted inside me then, the remnants of my past resuscitating my spirit and igniting a flame of courage. I need to disarm him before he gets a chance to unravel me completely. I can't hide anymore. Before Harrison could stop me, I stepped forward, my heart pounding, and the cacophony of voices buzzed around me like a swarm of angry bees. Marco, I called, my voice steadying. You claim I'm nothing but a liar. But isn't it the truth that scares you most? Every eye turned to him, and the moment hung suspended in the air, a frozen scene of impending confrontation. My heartbeat, a solitary drum, echoed in the background as anticipation crackled between us. But instead of rising to the challenge, Marco faltered. What do you mean? He asked, a veneer of surprise creeping into his malicious grin. You're afraid, I continued, finding strength in the words, that everyone will see you for who you truly are. A man too cowardly to face his own inadequacies, so you try to tear others down. People are going to see that. The energy shifted, and for the first time, Marco's bravado appeared shaky. And if anyone has the right to expose someone's past, I added, feeling a surge of power fill the space where fear once resided, it's me. The live tension felt as if it might split the room in half. And just as I felt emboldened by my declaration, Marco's phone began to vibrate, the notification lighting up the screen with urgency. His expression transformed, darkening with uncertainty as he looked down. This isn't over, Lila, he muttered under his breath, no longer as self-assured. With that, he turned on his heel, retreating into the shadows as the crowd murmured, a shift of disbelief settling over the room. In that moment, I breathed in the air of resolution tinged with uncertainty, but the swirling enormity of what had just unfolded engulfed me. The unknown path loomed ahead, splintered with every choice that lay at my feet. But right then I felt a glimmer, distant yet undeniable. Harrison stepped closer, his eyes shimmering with a mixture of pride and concern. You were incredible, he whispered. But before I could savor that small moment of hope, my phone vibrated against my side, jolting me back to reality. One glance at the notification sent a chill down my spine. It was a message from Marco. You have no idea what I've started. In that heartbeat, shadows loomed ever closer, and dread coiled tighter around my heart. The sensation of dread clung to me like heavy fog, suffocating my breath as I read Marco's chilling message. It felt almost surreal, the sudden shift from the brief moment of triumph to a new nameless fear creeping in on all sides. Harrison's presence was a comforting anchor, but in the back of my mind, the weight of that text loomed like a dark specter. What did he send? Harrison leaned in, trying to catch a glimpse of the screen. Just a threat, I replied, almost in a whisper, my voice trembling. He said I have no idea what he started. The very thought reversed my fleeting sense of victory into pulsing anxiety. Harrison clenched his jaw, his protective instincts flaring. Whatever it is, Lila, we'll face it together. I won't let him hurt you. But the sincerity in his voice did little to quell the anxieties rising within me. It was one thing to confront Marco in front of everyone. But now a new battlefield emerged, one without the audience, where only secrets lingered in the shadows. The gala resumed its frantic buzz, and all I could hear was the pounding of my heart, the deafening reminder that I had just managed to repel one of Marco's attacks, but not the war waging on below the surface. I scanned the room, the faces of the attendees now tinged with sympathy and concern, but there were also those who whispered behind their hands, eyes darting in my direction. We need to go somewhere more private, I said, my voice shaking just enough for Harrison to recognize my urgency. He nodded, ever focused on me, taking my hand and leading me through the crowd, past curious glances and murmurs. I felt each set of eyes burning into my back, judging, speculating, but I couldn't focus on them. I had to handle whatever was brewing in Marco's devious mind. When we finally found an alcove away from the prying eyes, I turned to Harrison, panic rising in my throat. What if he's going to expose something? Something I haven't dealt with yet. I thought I was strong enough to fight back, but what if it's worse than I imagined? Harrison took both of my shoulders, steadying me. You've shown bravery, and whatever he pulls next, it won't change who you are. You have me. You have Megan and everyone else who stood by you. We won't let him control this narrative. His conviction warmed me in a way I hadn't expected. Yet the worry still clung tightly to my heart. I can't drag anyone else into this mess, I murmured, guilt wrapping around me like a vine. I thought I could protect everyone, but now... Lila, he interrupted gently, this isn't just your burden. You don't have to do this alone. Please don't shut us out. A single tear slipped down my cheek as I contemplated the weight of his words. Hope flickered faintly like a candle in a drafty room, almost too fragile to grasp. I don't want to lose you. You won't, he promised fiercely. Trust me. We'll figure this out together. Just as I drew in a deep breath, savoring the moment of vulnerability, the jovial sounds of laughter from the main room halted abruptly, followed by a surge of gasps. I felt the tension ripple in the air, a current of uncertainty that jolted me upright. What just happened? Harrison murmured, tightening his grip on my arm. I glanced at the entrance of the alcove as people began to shuffle out, confusion etched on their faces. We should see. He nodded, pulling me along as we navigated through the crowd now buzzing with whispers. A scene unfolded before us. A well-dressed man with a microphone stood on an improvised stage, his expression grave. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption, but we've just received some disconcerting news regarding one of our attendees. As if my heart could plummet further, I felt mine at the base of my throat. It couldn't be me, could it? Not after I finally stood up to Marco. The man continued, please remain calm. A security breach has occurred, and we believe sensitive information regarding one of our hosts has been leaked. Fear wrapped its icy fingers around my spine, gripping tighter until I was almost breathless. Around me whispers sharpened, darting toward me like knives. Harrison, I whispered, my voice trembling. I can't let this happen. He looked at me, fear in his eyes matching my own. Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together. But before he could soothe my worries, the man announced, we urge everyone to look at their phones. A message containing confidential information regarding a significant figure has begun circulating. The room erupted into chaos as the attendees pulled out their devices, confusion and disbelief washing over their faces. I turned to Harrison, a sinking sense of dread consuming me. What if it's about me? At that moment I felt a sudden vibration in my pocket again. My heart raced as I fished out my phone, hands shaking, and the familiar chilling alert caught my eye. A torrent of messages flooded in, and there among them, a single name glittered maliciously, Lila Hartman. My stomach twisted violently as I realized that whatever scandal Marco had set into motion was about to unfold, and it could shatter everything I had fought to preserve. Just as I opened the message, a scream rippled through the crowd. Looking up, I saw Megan, her eyes wide with horror. Lila, you need to see. With trembling hands, I glanced down the screen and froze, the words cutting through me like ice. My heart raced, the vibrant energy of the gala contrasting sharply with the suffocating fear blooming inside me as I stared into Megan's panicked gaze. What happened? I yelled over the rising chaos, but the cacophony of voices drowned out my words. Megan, what is it? I demanded, my voice almost breaking, an edge of desperation creeping in. Harrison squeezed my hand, grounding me, but the tide of trepidation was threatening to wash me away. There's a video, Lila. It's gone viral. It shows you. She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper as if afraid that just saying the words would give them more power to know. I gasped, numbing disbelief stifling my breath. I thought I had put a stop to Marco's game. How could this be happening? He set this up, didn't he? He's trying to ruin me for good. My voice was now laced with panic as realization dawned. Marco wasn't just aiming for my reputation. He wanted to eviscerate my spirit. Let's find a place to talk, Megan urged, her eyes darting toward the crowd in absolute fear, as if Marco himself might walk in at any moment. We can't let them see. Harrison nodded, pulling me alongside them, guiding me through the throngs of guests who now clustered around their phones, raucous whispers firing like gunshots. I clung to his arm, my senses overwhelmed. Everything felt surreal, like I was in a dream that I couldn't wake from. Once we reached a quieter corner of the venue, Megan turned to face me, her brows knitted tightly together. This video. It's a recording of you confronting Marco last week at the cafe. He made it look like it was something more. Shock washed over me. No, he can't. He wouldn't. My voice trembled, the weight of her words pulling me deeper into an abyss I couldn't escape. He manipulated it, Lila. He edited it to twist every word, every emotion you had into something else. You're portrayed as if you were threatening him, and it's spreading, Megan explained, fear creeping into her tone. But what about everyone here? Don't they know me? They know I wouldn't. Most people knee-jerk react before they think, Lila. You know that. It doesn't matter what they believe. The damage is done, she replied, her voice thick with regret. Panic flooded through me, hot and suffocating. I felt as if I were drowning, pulled under by a current of betrayal and silence. Harrison, steady as always, wrapped an arm around my shoulder. Lila, look at me, he said softly. This is a setup, and no matter how convincing it is, it's not true. You have to remember that. We'll find a way to make them see. But how could I believe in anything when my entire world felt like it was collapsing? I can't go back out there. I can't face them. I can't. Then my phone vibrated again. A persistent reminder that the storm was brewing. I pulled out the device, but this time it wasn't just messages. A notification banner rang out, an alert. The video was trending down. My fingers trembled as I opened it and glanced briefly at the screen before the faces of horrified guests and a tainted version of myself leaped into view. I felt my heart stutter. There was a sickening knot in my stomach. Each image was exacerbated by a tidal wave of cruel comments, words that drove daggers into my heart. Megan, I said, my voice barely a whisper. He's done this to break me. No, she said firmly, eyes blazing with determination. He thinks he can humiliate you. He wants to destroy everything you've built. But he doesn't know you. You're stronger than this. We will fight back. Her fire ignited something deep inside me. A flicker of hope amidst the surrounding shadows. It was ridiculous to think that a single video could truly define who I was after everything I'd been through. I want to fight, I said, my voice trembling but stronger. But how? The chaos in the main room continued, but our little corner held a quiet resolve. Harrison looked back and forth between us. His unwavering support was like a cocoon of safety. We'll need a plan. We can gather our allies, people who know you, Lila, and we'll confront this head-on. But first, we will not let him see us broken. With a fire of determination rising within me, I took a shaky breath, piecing myself back together. Okay, let's do this. But before we could discuss our strategy, the gallery doors swung wide open. A man stormed in, eyes wild, an unmistakable aura of authority emanating from him. When he spotted me, a flicker of recognition passed over his features. Lila Hartman. He called out, voice booming and commanding. My heart dropped. Yes. I need you to come with me. You're in danger, he said, urgency lacing each word. A jolt of fear shot through me as I exchanged glances with Harrison and Megan, uncertainty churning within me once again. Would this man be a protector or yet another pawn in Marco's elaborate game? Before I could reply, he reached into his pocket and withdrew a phone, holding it up toward me. There's something you need to see, something that changes everything. And as my breath caught in my throat, I realized that whatever lay on the other side of that screen could either shatter what little remained of my world or provide the means to finally defeat Marco for good. The man held the phone out, his eyes intense as they bore into mine. You need to see this now, Lila. It's crucial. The urgency in his voice was palpable, a stark contrast to the chaotic atmosphere that surrounded us. What is it? I asked, a mix of apprehension and curiosity coursing through me. He nodded, his grip tight on the device. Just watch. Please. With that, he flicked his finger and the video began to play. At first, my heart raced with dread, bracing for the twisted version of me that Marco had birthed into the world. But what unfolded on the screen was entirely unexpected. It was footage from that same cafe confrontation, but from a different angle. The video I was watching captured even more than the moment Marco had manipulated. It pulled in snippets of conversations from patrons seated nearby, all of whom had witnessed the truth, that I had been defending myself against Marco's harassment, not threatening him. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes as the realization sank in. This video didn't just exonerate me. It painted a picture of a woman standing her ground, standing up against manipulation, fierce in her conviction. It revealed compassion from those who supported me, their shocked reactions validating my experience. I could see them whispering encouragement, and in a corner of the frame, one bystander even shot a text to a friend. Lilith's not in the wrong. She's strong. Who filmed this? I murmured, barely able to wrap my mind around the revelation. What felt like a betrayal was now my lifeline. The man lowered his voice, urgency still lacing his tone. I don't know, but I have contacts digging into it. I can help you get this into the right hands, but we need to act fast. Harrison stepped closer, his gaze steady. Lila, what do you want to do? An exhilaration began to spark within me, mixing with the dread still lodged in my chest. We can't let Marco win. I want to show the truth. But a wave of nausea swept through me at the thought of stepping back into the public eye, even with the proof on my side. Then let's do it together. Well, prepare a statement, gather your supporters, and present this new evidence. You're not alone in this, Megan chimed in, her determination lighting something long dormant within me. Right. Together, I echoed, tightening my grip around the hope that surged up like a flame. My heart pounded with new possibilities, and yet, there still lingered that gnawing fear. What if this wasn't enough to silence Marco? Just then, my phone vibrated violently in my pocket. I fished it out, the screen illuminating with an alert. Another notification that a wave of vitriol from the video continued sweeping through social media. The comments relentless. Here it comes, I whispered, dread pooling in my stomach again. But before I could process how to react, another text caught my eye. It was from an unknown number. Meet me at the old pier. I have evidence that can destroy Marco. Trust me. My instincts flared with both excitement and caution. Who is this? I typed back quickly, but there was no response. Megan, what do you think? I asked, my heart thrumming wildly. Should I go? She hesitated, her brows drawn tight. Lila, it could be a trap. We don't know who this is. I understand, I replied, but there was something irresistible about the message. It felt like a chance not just to fight back but to possibly end this once and for all. But what if it's legitimate? What if this person has the exact evidence we need? Harrison leaned in, his voice a protective murmur. We can go, but we have to be careful. I'll be right beside you. Me too, Megan added, her tone resolute. Okay, I said, swallowing uncertainty along with hope. Let's do this. Together. As we exited the venue, the weight of the world still rested heavily on my shoulders, but at least I wasn't carrying it alone anymore. Each step toward the pier was imbued with uncertainty. I could feel my pulse racing, the suspicion shadowing my excitement, but also a newfound sense of empowerment. The ocean waves crashed gently against the shore, a soothing contrast to the turmoil within me. But as we drew near the meeting spot, my heart dropped into my throat. The dark silhouette of a figure stood waiting, gesturing us closer. I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the moonlight, trembling, anxiety sharpening into something colder. And then, just as I felt the first rush of hope settling into my veins, the figure turned, and in that moment I froze. It was familiar in a way that shattered my already fragile composure. Marco, I whispered, disbelief tinged with fear as he stepped forward, the malevolence in his smile unmistakable. Did you really think you could escape me that easily? He taunted, the shadows of the night wrapping around his words like a dark shroud. And just like that, the hope of truth slipped from my grasp as the churning tide of devastation and heartache threatened to pull me under once more. My heart raced, a chorus of disbelief reverberating through my chest as Marco moved closer, his presence suffocating in the dim light of the pier. I thought you might want to meet me, he sneered, eyes gleaming with a mix of malice and exhilaration. I took a step back, instinctively seeking the comfort of Harrison and Megan, who stood vigilant at my sides. The urgent vibrations of hope that had just coursed through my blood now felt like frozen remnants of an impending storm. Harrison, what do we do? I whispered, my voice trembling. Keep calm, he murmured, still maintaining a firm stance. Don't let him provoke you. We're here together. Megan's hand rested on my shoulder, an anchor grounding me amidst the chaos. The air crackled with tension, a sickening silence hanging between us as Marco's smirk widened, relishing our obvious distress. Got something to show you, Lila, he said, a mocking lilt to his voice. This isn't just about you anymore. It never was. No, I managed, shaking my head as panic threatened to overtake me. I couldn't let him control this moment. I won't let you manipulate me. Marco shrugged, casting a glance at the tide swirling behind him. Isn't that what you did in that cafe? You really thought your little video would save you? Reality check. The world loves a scandal. His words were sharp, like knife edges skimming the surface of my confidence. I clung to my friends like a life raft, drawing strength from their steadfastness, but I could feel the weight of his gaze boring into me, chipping away at my resolve. Why are you here, Marco? I asked, voice steadier than I felt. What do you want? He leaned in slightly, an air of cockiness melding with a predatory glint. I came to offer you a deal. A deal? Megan scoffed, crossing her arms defiantly. Let's take a breather here, he said, impatience lacing his tone. What if I could ensure that all your mistakes stayed buried? The evidence you think you have against me, it could disappear just as quickly as it surfaced. The proposition echoed in the silence and I felt a chill. My breath quickened, fear clawing at the pit of my stomach. How far was he willing to go to keep his secrets safe? Why would you even consider that? Harrison challenged, stepping protectively in front of me. Because, my dear friend, I know what she's capable of. His gaze locked onto mine, a twisted understanding passing between us. And I also know how much she's still worth in this game. After all, I have my own video too. Images of the cafe swirled in my mind, but my heart sank further into a pit of despair as the weight of his words settled. You can't silence me, I said quietly, feeling a spark of defiance push through the fear. But I can make your life a living hell. Megan stepped forward, her voice now a fierce flame in the night. You think you can intimidate her? You're wrong. We're not afraid of you. I could barely draw breath, the conflict raging within me. Was Marco truly capable of ruining everything again? Cut the theatrics, he sneered, pushing further. I warned you before, Lila. There's a bigger picture, and you're not in it. A sudden flicker of doubt threaded through his bravado. Or are you? His tone shifted, an unsettling curiosity weaving between his words. Enough, I shouted, the sound echoing against the water, mingling with the soft lap of waves. I won't let you manipulate me or intimidate my friends. Whatever evidence you think you have, I'm stronger than you think. Stronger? You think you're strong? His laughter filled the air, dark and disconcerting. I'm not the one standing alone on a pier, Lila. You're fighting a losing battle, and soon everyone will see who you really are. Anger surged through my veins as he pushed closer, but suddenly a hand clamped down on my shoulder with a fierce intensity. It was Harrison, his eyes locking with mine, fierce and unwavering. Don't let him get to you, he urged, his voice steady, and then in that split second, Marco's phone buzzed within his pocket, slicing through the tension with the urgency of an incoming storm. He fumbled it out, a look of irritation flaring on his features as he swiped the screen, his expression shifting abruptly from amusement to concern. I caught a glimpse of the words as he read aloud, hardly able to contain the shock. The truth is out, Marco. Everything will be revealed. Telling me the obvious won't change anything. You're still stuck in the past, Marco retorted, though the tremor in his hand betrayed him with the tide lapping underneath. I could hear the whispers of hope pulling at the edges of my uncertainty. Just beyond this confrontation, perhaps a chance awaited, a path to healing that hadn't yet revealed itself. Maybe it's time you faced the truth, Marco, I said, heart pounding as a tiny flicker of resolve ignited within. One way or another, I'm done letting you dictate my life. As Marco's eyes narrowed, a sense of desperation threaded through his previously confident facade. I just needed to hold on long enough for the truth to emerge, for the tides to turn in my favor. Then as the words trembled on the cusp of my lips, an unexpected sound filled the air behind me, an echo that shattered the tension I had been holding inside, an undeniable, bone-chilling roar. The ground shook as darkness swelled around us. I turned to see a wave rising ferociously from the ocean, an unanticipated tide rushing toward the pier. "Lila!" Harrison shouted, pulling me back just as the wave crashed with a terrible fury, engulfing everything in its path, leaving me gasping for air as reality crumbled around us. Then as I fought against the force, a new fear took root deep in my chest. What if the truth I sought was lost forever beneath the tumultuous waves? The sound of crashing waves echoed in my ears, reverberating through my body as if the ocean itself was trying to swallow me whole. Panic surged as I grabbed onto Harrison's arm. The surge of water, a visceral reminder of how quickly everything could be taken from me: my dignity, my safety, my future. "Hold on, Lila!" he shouted over the chaos. I felt the ground beneath me tremble, the pier swaying with the violent hits of the water. In that second, a rush of panic eclipsed thought. I was drowning not just in the ocean's depths but in the uncertainty of my life. Megan was at my other side, her expression fierce as she shielded me. "This way!" she yelled, pulling me away from the edge just as a second wave crashed against the pier. The salt water sprayed us, a bitter reminder of the turmoil brewing not just in the sea, but within our lives. As we stumbled backward, Marco's confident demeanor shattered, replaced by a flurry of actions that revealed the man behind the mask exposed and vulnerable amidst the chaos. "What the hell is going on?" he yelled, looking from us to the encroaching water. "Your past is coming for you, Marco," I said defiantly, yet my heart clamored anxiously at the possible worst-case scenarios. I wasn't sure if he truly understood how much the tide of truth had begun to turn. Just as the pier creaked beneath us, I caught a glimpse of his phone, still clutched in his hand, delivering a message that threatened to unravel the veil he had spun around himself. "You think I control this situation?" he shouted, confusion mingling with fear lacing his voice. "You have no idea what I'm capable of when pressed against the wall." Harrison gritted his teeth, his protectiveness surging to the forefront as he stepped forward, the three of us forming a tight circle. "You underestimate us. You always have. We're not going to let you manipulate us into silence." But before Marco could retort, the ground beneath us began to shudder again, sending a jolt of panic through my body. Each tremor seemed to mirror the chaos of our lives, and the ocean's fury paralleled the storm within. The waves surged higher, claiming more ground, and I could feel the salty sea spray coating my eyelashes, obscuring my vision just like the uncertainties clouding my judgment. Then, an unexpected voice cut through the noise. "Hey, you forget back!" shouted a man from the further end of the pier, rushing towards us. He was wearing a uniform, his face etched with urgency. "The water level is rising. You need to move now." It was a simple command, yet for a brief moment, I wondered if he recognized the weight of emotions swirling around us: fear, desperation, and the faintest glimmers of hope. Had he just stepped in to save us, or was he warning us of truths yet to be uncovered? "Go," Harrison commanded, yanking my arm as he began to retreat. But I hesitated, my gaze slipping back to Marco, who stood frozen as if time itself had come to a complete stop. "Lila, please, we can't stay here," Megan urged, her voice tinged with concern as the water lapped closer. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding against my ribcage. "Marco, you need to leave. Face the truth before it's too late." "Face it?" he chuckled bitterly, but there was something deeper in his laughter, a shadow of realization filtering through it. "What truth are you talking about? You think I'm afraid of what will come to light?" And in that moment, amidst the chaos of the crashing waves, I caught a flicker, a small ember of humanity behind his bravado, as though the very act of confronting his past had started to chip away at the facade he had built. This isn't just about you anymore. I shouted over the turmoil. This is about all of us. You keep running, but we can't keep protecting you. You need to choose. Either step up or let the truth consume you. In the shifting shadows, I felt for the first time a small seed of my own power sprouting slowly, perhaps, but it was there nonetheless. The rain began to fall, lightly at first, but growing heavier, mixing with the slush of salt water around us. For a fleeting moment I thought I saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes, a shared understanding of the storms they've both battled, the roles we each occupied in this chaotic play of life. It was then that I decided. Before Marco could respond, before the waves crashed down upon us once again, I took a decisive step back, my heart racing as I shouted one last time, "We're ready to embrace the truth, Marco. Will you?" But before an answer could form, a harrowing roar reverberated, not from the ocean but from above. High in the sky, dark clouds rolled in, and with them came a bolt of lightning, streaking downward toward the darkness that lingered in my chest, a darkness I thought I could control. Thunder rolled ominously, echoing over the pier as if taking this moment of resolution and tearing it into threads of chaos. Harrison grabbed my hand tighter, and together with Megan, we began to run away from the pier's edge. But as we raced forward, I glanced back one last time. Marco stood there, caught between the storm raging around him and the truth he desperately feared. And in that instant something within him shifted. An understanding flickered across his face, but before clarity could fully take shape, the wave grew closer, a harbinger of doom that blurred the lines between reality and our deepest fears. What awaited when the tide receded? Would the truth be washed away? Or would it rise like a phoenix from the depths, forever altering the course of our lives? The rain beat down, drenching everything in a frenzy as we sprinted to safety. My heart pounded not just from the exertion but from the realization of what I had left behind me: confrontation with Marco. His fear, my own truth. My past was no longer simply an anchor. It had become a paradox, heavy and empowering all at once. Harrison's grip was a lifeline, his strength propelling me forward as we dodged droplets that slashed down like blades. But deep within, an unfamiliar ease filled the turmoil. Maybe it was hope ignited by understanding. The kind that blooms when you realize confronting your demons doesn't just require strength but solidarity. With every step as the rain washed over me, I felt the suffocating weight of Marco's control slowly washing away as well. We finally stumbled into the haven of a crowded cafe, my breath ragged amidst the onslaught of laughter swirling from inside. The warmth enveloped me, but inside, I shuddered from the sudden tension fading, revealing the tumult still raging in my heart. I glanced back to the pier through the glass, rain cascading around us, an endless fall of what might have been lost, but just as importantly, what was now freed. Megan rushed to grab us hot coffees, her presence filling the space with fervor and strength. She slid back into the booth beside us, exchanging worried glances after we caught our breath. "We did it, Lila. I can't believe you stood up to him. You were incredible." A rush of warmth surged through me. She didn't realize just how shaky I felt inside. Harrison leaned closer, observing the reflections of vulnerability flickering across my face. "What you did back there, it was brave." There it was again, the way his words reached deep inside the hollowness that had lingered far too long. But more than that, it was true. With that simple truth, the pieces clicked, resonating deep within me. Grace didn't just come from strength. It came when honesty was laid bare, when the soul stripped itself from the weight of societal labels, and finally faced the tumult raging within. But then another thought pierced through the fog. "What happens now?" I murmured, dread settling in the pit of my stomach. "Do we still have to face Marco? He won't let this go." The thought wrapped tightly around my mind like a coiling snake, a swirling mess of uncertainties creeping back in front of me. "We face it," Harrison replied resolutely. "But now we have allies, those who witnessed the truth. We won't go into this unarmed." A flicker of determination ignited between us, and I began to see that the darkness wasn't absolute. There was light in the shadows. There had to be, and just then, as if affirming our collective resolve, a notification pinged on the tablia news update blaring across the screen of a nearby TV perched in the corner of the cafe. The headline glared back, striking like a bolt of lightning. "Viral video confrontation. A tale of truth and deceit." Suddenly the reality began to shift. My world wasn't simply spiraling into chaos. It was being restructured as people gathered. Murmurs filled the room. The cafe patrons began discussing the video, supportive and sympathetic murmurs blending together into a tide of voices that thrummed with discomfort at Marco's behavior. "They're not focusing on the scandal," I whispered, hope igniting brighter than the storm outside. "They're seeing the truth." I felt something unshakable inside me shift, morphing chaos into clarity. Our fight against the shadows wasn't in vain. Marco's stranglehold was weakening. I had shown I was willing to stand against him, fueled not only by fear but by truth, and the world was beginning to take notice. Perhaps the harder truth was more powerful than a fabricated lie. Perhaps it was the vulnerability that could carry me through this storm. Harrison squeezed my hand gently. "You're not done yet, Lila. You have to be the one to tell your story." The enormity of the moment sank deep into my veins, weaving tightly around my heart. I focused on his earnest eyes, reflecting warmth and strength, anchoring me amid the uncertainty. "But together," I added, understanding now that I could lean on my friends. "We could be warriors in each other's battles." Megan nodded vigorously, an intent flicker in her gaze. "Let's work on it. We'll make sure your voice is heard, and he won't take this away from you. Not now. Not ever." The tears that streamed down my cheeks felt like a catharsis, a release of the storm brewing within, allowing bittersweet hope to break through the chaos. But even as hope surged, a past I thought buried shifted yet again with a violent echo. My phone vibrated violently again in my pocket, a reminder that shadows lurked even in the light. But they couldn't suffocate me anymore. I drew a sharp breath, finding power intertwined with the uncertainty, lifting my chin higher, stepping into the light. "I am ready," I declared, my voice stronger than it had ever felt. "Let them see everything." The battle with Marco wasn't just about confronting him. It was about reclaiming the pieces of my identity, healing the past, and confronting every crack that had threatened to shatter me. It was about turning my darkest moments into a masterpiece of resilience. Together we strategized. The energy bristled with purpose, fueled by coffee and the thrill of forging a path where once only despair had lingered. The world outside the cafe brightened, the storm subsiding, making way for the dawn that would rise anew. And as I exchanged glances with Harrison and Megan, I felt the warmth of their support enveloping me like a blanket of courage. My journey had just begun, a sacred promise sealed with friendship and love. "No matter what comes next," I proclaimed softly, "I will be the author of my own story." In the quiet corners of my heart, I felt a renewed sense of belonging and purpose, interwoven with unyielding life. It was a testament to the heart's resilience amidst chaos. And it was here in this moment, the calm after the storm, perched on the brink of what lay ahead, that I learned. Sometimes you must shatter to let the light in. "Let's write our narrative," I concluded, lifting my eyes to meet theirs, the hope, the promise, the courage outlining the journey that lay ahead. In that sacred exchange of resolve, nothing felt more tangible than the belief that we had the power to reclaim not just our lives but change the narrative for all those entwined in stories like mine. And as I made that promise in my heart, it resonated through the very core of my being, whispering, "I will rise from every fall, and I will be heard."